It's Tuesday, May 5, and time for your Barbados Today morning news update. The union representing primary school teachers is questioning a new directive from the Ministry of Education regarding the administration of online classes. It came as the third term got underway yesterday, with thousands of students and teachers logging on to online classrooms as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. General Secretary of the Barbados Union of Teachers, Herbert Gittins, said, "All is not well with regards to what is now expected of teachers, even though he did not receive any complaints from the various schools concerning the conduct of classes yesterday." In fact, Gittins disclosed that the directive sent by the Chief Education Officer has created uncertainty among members.
We are talking about assessments in terms of reporting, doing reports, right? So I don't know, you're asking about absence and presence. I mean, whether a child is absent and all that, you're saying to parents that their teacher should make themselves available for contact at any time, right? You can't impose, it's difficult for you to be imposing now something that generally you don't do in the real environment.
Gittins called on the ministry to give teachers more time to work through the new online teaching system.
What I believe should really be happening is that we appealing to persons to work and we're trying a new system. Give us time to work through it, because there are going to be kinks, there are going to be issues that are going to come up. But don't try to make people uncomfortable in this environment. And that is what is needed now. More consultation with the stakeholders as it relates to what you want to happen, so that everybody can be happy.
A number of businesses reopened their doors to customers for the first time in several weeks, following the lifting of some restrictions on the national shutdown imposed to stem the spread of COVID-19. Our Kareem Smith was out and about Bridgetown yesterday and filed this report.
Business is slowly returning to the capital city for the first time in almost 6 weeks as government eases restrictions on an unprecedented shutdown of the country. It's a sign of hope for citizens and businesses amid a period of great uncertainty for the country. On Monday, dozens were delighted to usher in phase 2 of the country's gradual reopening, which provided much needed activity for an economy crippled by COVID-19. Bridgetown has not quite been restored to its former glory, but there was a noticeable increase in pedestrian and vehicular traffic, welcome signs for businesses on the verge of collapse. How important was this reopening, and how much longer would you have been able to sustain no business, essentially?
No business means that we may have to shut the store. That's the bottom line. While we are happy for the opening, we still got to make sure that what comes in can satisfy paying our workers at the end of the day. It's enough to deal with that. If we don't get that, then as you will know, we will have to close again. But we see the silver lining around the clouds.
At number 1 Beauty Supplies Broad Street and St. Michael's Road branches, business was bustling as mostly women queued outside to make their purchases. Owner Mohammed Juni revealed that although the establishment has been severely affected by the shutdown, there would be no salary cuts.
Maybe it's a little of layoffs, but no. Salaries, I didn't decrease any salaries, it's still the same. Actually, there's some people I'm going to raise them, because, I have loyal staff, good team with me. We have 12 stores. Rent. Now today, the first day I open, some landlords keep calling me now. What's happened for April rent, 6 weeks I'm closed, we need to breathe at least. So we're negotiating now what we're going to do with them.
Along with the increased traffic were also glimmers of hope for dozens of taxi operators. After earning just $10 while operating for almost 4 hours, Mark Williams admits the last few weeks are the roughest he has experienced in over 20 years.
It was rough. It was real rough, man. People want to live. People be accustomed to living a life, It wasn't wrong in 1918 to experience what happened then, but here no, and this year was rough, man. You want to earn for yourself, you want to earn for your family and things, but, things, you just might do with what you had at the point in time, but now is the time to get a little open up and let me go again, man.
The return of businesses such as his has also had a domino effect on others. Adrian Cox, for example, who has been washing taxis in the Bridgetown area for almost 12 years, is cautiously optimistic about the return of economic activity. Just how slow has it gotten for you? How much of an impact has the last month had?
It's a very good, a very great impact, but sometimes you have to save for a rainy day because it's like, no, the guys I work for are not working. So if they are not working, it will have a domino effect on me. It will trickle down the pipeline to me because I won't be doing that much work as so. But you're probably able to pick one here, pick one there. But I believe that if you trust God and and spend to suit, cut and contrive, and you can't do the things that you used to do before. You can't do as much things as before. You can't, so you have to cut back on everything and make sure that you try and pay your bills and get something to eat and left the rest to God.
Kareem Smith for Barbados Today.
Barbados is still in curfew mode, the reminder from Attorney General Dale Marshall, as the previous 24-hour stay-at-home order yesterday reverted to an overnight curfew from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. Minister Marshall explained that government changed the time in an effort to readily accommodate businesses that are now allowed to open and to provide greater flexibility within the transport system due to the coronavirus. But he's made it clear that residents are to remain at home unless it is to conduct business and shopping on scheduled days or other urgent tasks outlined by government or working at the businesses now back in operation.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our region, there are renewed concerns in St. Lucia about people entering the country through unofficial channels. It comes as the island recorded its 18th case of COVID-19 over the weekend. According to Chief Medical Officer Dr. Sharon Belmar-George, the latest case is that of a 51-year-old man with no known travel history. We get more in this report from HTS News Force.
The Ministry of Health's contact tracing team is undertaking the necessary follow-up for the identification and quarantine of contacts of this case.
There has been an underground network between St. Lucia and Martinique for years. For weeks, public officials have been expressing concern about the illegal entry of people into the country, especially across maritime borders. Now the spotlight has fallen on the porous east coast of St. Lucia, which is replete with coves, cays, and inland waterways.
The emergence of cases on the East Coast continues to be of concern to the Ministry of Health as we continue to receive reports of entry through unofficial channels. We continue to strengthen our surveillance in these areas and anticipate the detection of more cases as community testing increases. COVID-19 poses a risk of transmission to every individual irrespective of age, socioeconomic status, or gender.
And finally, on the international scene, leaders from 40 countries across the world pledged billions of dollars for research and development of vaccines through the COVID-19 Global Response International Pledging event hosted by the European Union. We get more of that story from Reuters TV.
World leaders promised $8 billion on Monday as part of a pledging marathon to raise money for research into a possible vaccine and treatments for the coronavirus. Organisers included the European Union, non-EU states Britain and Norway, as well as Japan, Canada and Saudi Arabia. The United States, which has the world's most confirmed cases of the COVID-19 disease, did not take part.
We've made it.
The EU pledged €1 billion, with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen kicking off the so-called marathon.
The world has shown it is standing closer together than ever before.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel added that her country would contribute 525 million euros.
I was very happy to join the World Health
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres called for any treatment developed to be available to everyone, something the World Health Organization said would be a challenge.
and equitable access.
British Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who recovered from his battle with COVID-19, had this to say.
The race to discover the vaccine to defeat this virus is not a competition between countries, but the most urgent shared endeavour of our lifetimes. It's humanity against the virus.
Governments aim to raise funds over several weeks or months, building on efforts by the World Bank, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and wealthy individuals, hoping to turn the page on the haphazard initial response around the world.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.